Welcome to a new episode of OK Boomer, the podcast, sponsored by our friends over at the Inked Marketing Team. Over 30 years in the business. If you need a little help with your Indiegogo or Kickstarter, you want to go from start to finish and guarantee that you're going to fund, hit up Kevin Gillette over at Inked Marketing and see what they can do for you. And now, this is William.
And this is Thomas.
And we're back at the virtual spinner rack this week, taking a look at the very first appearance of Mr. Freeze, otherwise known as Mr. Zero.
Yeah, had a completely different name. I didn't know that until I picked this. And this is from 59, man. This is a Golden Age book. We were talking about it before the pre-show. This is actually a really good. I mean, this holds up well for the most part, especially for a Golden Age comic. To me, I thought it was great. It's got a great cover. I do have it pulled up. I'll have to change windows here in a minute to read it off because, like me and you've talked about before, as bad as Stan Lee gets the rap for taking too much credit, Bob was worse.
Yeah. They were both two peas in a pod. They were actually friends, so.
Yes, they were friends. They actually had dinner together and stuff on a regular basis.
Yeah,
but
Stan and his wife went with Bob and his wife to the opening of the Batman '89 Michael Keaton movie, and Bob kept getting cocky, and Stan kept putting him back in his place.
I mean, I've actually got a couple books on that movie where they the whole, and that's when his Bob Kane released his autobiography Batman and Me, and he completely glosses over everyone else.
Yeah.
But now, all right, so I got the credits pulled up on another window. So let's tell you who the cover artist is here, because guess what? It's not Bob Kane.
Of course not. The art is good.
Damn it, that's terrible. Some of Bob's early stuff is really good. It's classic. But as anybody who's a longtime reader of comics knows, after about the first 5 issues of Batman, Bob Kane did jack shit. The cover art here actually surprised me. The cover artists are Kurt Swan, Stan K, and Ira Schnapp. So I guess we've got a penciler, an inker, and a colorer. That's the actual cover artist for this. And to see Kurt Swan
on a Batman.
On a Batman book is kind of amazing because, I mean, it would have to have been after this because Wayne Boring was drawing Superman at this time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
If I'm right, yeah, Boring was doing Superman at this time, so it would probably be another couple years before Kurt would take over, and then Kurt drew Superman probably from the middle, I'm gonna guess early to middle '60s to 86, and that's when
pretty much
up to the end of relaunched it.
Yeah, pretty much up to the end of his career.
Yeah,
and then then Byrne relaunched it, and I was thrilled to find my 6 issues back to back, all nicely bagged and boarded in a box of
the Man of Steel
of the Man of Steel series. That was such a huge thing. It's like a beautiful piece of art, and I remember when Junior teamed up with Frank, because Frank so desperately wanted to do a Superman book, and then he was just going to do his own retelling of Superman's origin. And I looked at that one book, and then I went back to shuffling through my boxes, and I sat down and I read the whole Man of Steel series. That cured me from trying to shred that other book because it was horrible.
Yeah, it's incredible. People don't understand that, but yeah. So, like I said, cover artist here. The main cover artist is Kurt Swan, and then we'll get in now. onto the very first page, the story of Batman and Robin in The Body in the Batcave. All right. Now, like many Golden Age books, when I sent this over to you, I just sent over the Batman stories because they were like 4 kitty stories in between that, were like the 2-page, so and so picks up something or whatever. It was kind of weird. We're just doing Batman because Golden Age books are like 60 something pages a pop.
Yeah,
you got a hell of a lot of money for 10 cents.
Yeah, and they would put like Nancy and Sluggo in between like a Batman story or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. I can't even remember what it was, but I didn't. So we're just concentrating on the Batman stories. So the first one, like I said, The Body in the Batcave. The writer here is our man Bill Finger, who is probably the real creator of Batman, with the exception of some of the
for sure
the actual costume designs. The penciler here is Sheldon Moldoff. The inker is Charles Paris, and the letterer is Stan Starkman.
Mm-hmm.
So Finger and Moldoff, who both, Moldoff actually did some other stuff, but Finger was just all over, but he got no credit at all for Batman, which is a damn shame.
Well, they fought like hell. I actually know Bill Finger's granddaughter.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
I've seen her in the documentary, but I don't. I've never talked to her.
I've met her a few times, talked to her, and my friend David, who's in John's group with us, David Almeida. You'll recognize him by when I post something. He's the one that tends to like jump right on me and bust my balls. Well, he likes balls, I guess. But he actually directed a play like locally in Massachusetts. That was about it. It was about Bill Finger and how he contributed, and what he really did, which is basically create Batman. And after that was done, they invited Athena Finger down to the Playhouse, and she came down on the opening night of the play, and either I don't think it was either the mayor or one of the city council members was there, and they handed like a certificate and something else to Athena after the show, and they named that day Bill Finger Day in Massachusetts. It's an official holiday. Nobody gets it out of work, but it's an official day in Massachusetts. They put it on the books.
Well, see, and that's the whole thing. I mean, so like I said, there's a lot of folks, especially, some new people, and, everybody jumps on Stanley in the groups. I mean, I see it all the time. And
oh yeah, pick up a dead guy.
As bad as Stan was, people just, they gloss over Bob because how good Batman is. I mean, and honestly, there are probably 2 characters, with the exception of Superman. Superman's the superhero archetype, but I mean, Batman or Spider-Man are probably the 2 best superheroes created. I mean, let's just be honest with it. You can do so much with either character, and that's the genius of Bill Finger. I mean, and people just don't. They just don't get it. I mean, but the other thing is, even though this story is this early, there's a lot of tropes that carry over into you could see them as they develop into the modern Batman that we see now. All right, so starting on this one, like I said, so Batman and Robin, they're going to go on patrol. They get down to the bottom, to the Batcave, and they find a dead guy there. And so like, damn, there's a dead dude in the Batcave. And so Batman and Robin actually go through rifle through his pockets, and they discover who he is. They actually know who he is to begin with. He's a guy that creates actual criminal devices that sell to the underworld. And they find his actual, little
His
what
ledger,
do you
yeah.
call his little his ledger, and it's got his last three contacts in it. So Batman's like, oh my God, if he's here, then he obviously knows I'm Batman, and he's going to tell my secret identity to the rest of the world. And I imagine it's one of these three people that know. So Batman and Robin are like, we've got to go and we've got to bring these people to justice, even if there's a big chance of it revealing my secret identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so they head off to the first guy, which they find out when they get there is, he's actually got this ray gun that they built, and it shuts off the damn Batmobile. So they're like,
I
oh my God.
wouldn't quite call that a ray gun.
What? Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
That is a battleship deck gun. Look at this. Look at the size of that thing. You can tell this is Golden Age because these two Mamelukes push out this huge cannon, this huge tank with like four turrets on it to zap the Batmobile out of an alley. Couldn't they have just shot the Batmobile from the alley?
You got to get it out on the sidewalk, buddy.
All right.
So they shoot the Batmobile, and it actually shuts the Batmobile off. So Batman and Robin are like, oh my God, this electronic gadget that Wire is the guy's name that sold them would be great. It would actually shut off police cars. So like Robin, who is not being the genius here, he's like, how will he ever catch up with them now, Batman? And this is how we know it's a Golden Age book. Batman's like, you see that mechanics trolley over there?
Yeah, I'm like, I saw this and I was like, that's badass. It's also stupid. And it's stupid because if somebody like when I was Robin's age, if somebody like whacked my car so it couldn't move anymore and they took off from the scene and I saw a mechanics trolley there and we were going down and the road was heading down a slope, I would do something stupid like that.
Well, so with zero prep time, Batman improvises to jump on this damn mechanics trolley and go down the hill, which conveniently ends at a cul-de-sac. So I don't know how fast they're going, but I understand these guys have to turn around. So as they're going down the hill in the mechanics trolley, Batman tells Robin, hey, get ready to jump. So they jump and land inside the damn car and proceed to beat the guys up. And, the guys can, confess, hey, look, the last time I saw Ware, he wasn't dead. He sold us this gun a week ago. And then Batman, of course, he takes them to the, they're criminals. So he takes them to jail. And then he starts talking to Robin. And they're like, well, obviously they don't know who we are, because if they did, then they would have, threatened me with revealing my secret identity. So we're going to have to go to the next guy on the list who, Batman and them, Batman and Robin takes off and they see a hoodlum that belongs one of the Dotson gang. And they're like, okay, so he's got to be going back to their hideout. He can't be like going out for dinner or anything. He's going back to their hideout because he's a criminal. So they chase him, and unbeknownst to them, Batman and Robin, he's not really going back to the hideout. He's going to meet up to the other gang because they have a ray gun that shoots electricity, like artificial lightning bolts is what they say. Mm-hmm. And they're robbing the National Bank. So when they show up, of course, the rest of the hoodlums see them and they're like, oh, look, it's Batman and Robin. We've got to stop them. So they start zapping them with the ray gun, and Batman picks up this damn 50-pound bag of sand and throws it at them. And when the ray gun hits it, it blows sand everywhere and they can't see. So like, oh no, the sand. And Batman beats them up. And they're, hey, I don't know your secret identity either. Last time I saw where he was alive.
And then
So
Robin throws in his 2 cents that, hey, your new nickname could be Sandman.
I read that. Yeah, Sandman, because you really put those guys out, Batman.
And I mean, if this book was later in the run, that could have definitely been a dig at the Spider-Man title. So
yeah, or something. Yeah. So Batman and Robin now they're like, all right. So obviously it's got to be the last guy who knows who we are. So, but he's left town, so they got to go find him at his new, his out of town headquarters, which Batman and Robin conveniently know. So they get in the Batmobile and head off. But this guy's obviously doing pretty well for himself, man. He's a criminal, but he's managed to buy a helicopter. Helicopters aren't cheap. So when he sees Batman and Robin coming for him, they get in the helicopter and he's going to leave. And of course, Batman shoots a freaking little tracer to him, and they're going to, track him down. I will say the most impressive part of this story for me so far, when I was reading it art-wise, because the art is standard, this is standard Golden Age art. Batman's got the super square jaw, Robin's all round and kind of, puffy.
Yeah,
he's
but if you look at it, this is basically the art style they went with when they did the 1970s Schuster and whatever Batman series that Adam and Burt voiced.
Oh yeah. This is the same art style.
Yeah, because you can see it like
this is the golden
right up on the right top page. It's like I'm looking at this. I go, that's like a cell right out of the 1970s Batman cartoon.
Yeah, well, 70s Batman cartoon, 60s TV show. It's that same look, which and that's the whole thing. That was part of Bob Kane's genius in marketing and selling the idea to Batman, to DC Comics, and I'm going to be the only person on Batman, and all of these other people that are going to do the actual work for me, and I'm going to pay them next to nothing. They have to draw the way I draw, and it wasn't until later that it started to change. So, I mean, that's why everything looks this way. But in this bottom corner here, I noticed it. When Batman actually makes it into the house after they chase him, the shadow casts on the wall, which I thought was really nice. I mean, that's something you don't normally see in a Golden Age book. I just thought that was really cool.
Well, that and the only thing that perplexes me about that is his cape is being blown back into like one narrow thing like this, but the shadow is
yeah, the shadow. Well, but you have to roll with it. It's a Golden Age. The thing that I do like too about this actual depiction of Batman, and it's on some of the other issues where he's always holding his cape. It's almost always like he's, I don't say Dracula, but I know that's where some of the mythology comes from, and that look. He's always got his hand up here and his cape is over his arm. It's always cool. But yeah, so Batman chases this guy, and he throws like a damn chair leg at him or something, and Robin does something, dude. He like tackles this guy. So Robin tackles him at the top of the steps, and then he gets up, and the guy's like, "Hey, let me go, or I'm going to reveal your secret identity." And when Batman takes a pause for a minute, the guy escapes to a fire escape because everybody's got them. And
it's a firehouse. It's a real firehouse. Yeah, go back. He's in a fire.
Okay, so he runs into a real firehouse. That's why he has that. Okay, so he slides down the firehouse, and Batman then chases him down and knocks him down. And the guy's like, "Oh no, it's a bluff. I don't really know who you are." And Batman who is obviously worried. It's like, Bluff, you mean you really don't know my secret identity? And you didn't kill Wire? And the guy's like, no, I didn't kill him. So it's like, so they take Batman back to Batman takes this guy to jail, and then he thinks about it, uses his detective powers to reason what happened. And then we find out that Wire received a package from Batman, and this guy was there. And when they opened it, there was a bat inside of it. So it scared the little bejesus out of him. So he's like, oh, God, Batman's onto us. We're going to get the hell out of town. Well, when he left, Ware put a tracer on it, and he's like, obviously, this bat's going to go back to Batman. So I'm going to follow it and then find out who Batman is. And, of course, Ware does. Here at the bottom panel, he goes down and he discovers, hey, the Batcave, could Bruce Wayne actually be Batman? And when he goes in there with his little lantern, he startles the bats. And then when he startles the bats, as he's fumbling around in the darkness, he slams into a damn stalagmite and kills himself. Or stalactite, whichever one it is. And knocks himself out. So Batman and Robin are like, my secret identity is safe. Only now they got a dead body to get rid of.
And now I can go back to my mild-mannered identity as this cute little white fuzzy bear skiing down the slopes for Tootsie Roll.
Look, that was here. That was that was a 3rd-page ad. Tootsie Roll paid a lot for that ad. You can't be knocking it.
The whole book is full of Tootsie Roll ads.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. Seeing like the old ads. I love that.
Yeah. They were, like I said, there were some other ads in between the other stories that I just didn't see, and I was like, wow, this is weird. But so that was first story. Like I said, classic. See, look, that's so cool. I love the way he's, like I said, the cape's all dripped over his arm. That's just really, I like that Batman. Classic Golden Age story. It's simple. Dude, it was what? 8 pages? A whole story. Imagine doing that today. Never happened. And then our next story is Batman and Robin. Crime rides the trails. Okay, so let me go back to my creators. Rails. Yeah, that's what I said, right?
No, you said trails.
Oh, rails.
You saw a train. You thought it was a Western story.
Yeah, that's what we did last week. So, Crime Rides the Rails. The writer here is, again, hey, this guy, Bill Finger. He seems to be doing a damn lot on Batman. Sheldon Moldoff. Dude, he's doing a lot on Batman, too. Charles Paris. And this time we have a new letterer, Ira Schnapp. Schnapp, Schnapp, I guess.
You know what's funny about this?
What?
That Bob Finger doesn't. Bill Finger seems to be doing everything, and Bob does absolutely nothing.
Well, see, and that's the whole thing. I mean, if you look, there are 3 stories in this book with Batman in them, and the first 2 we've touched on so far have, Bill Finger and Moldoff. There's no Bob Kane, but when you flip over the page right here, it says Bob Kane right there. And those who don't believe us,
yep. Because every time they would hand in a story to the editor would call Bob in, and Bob would be like, "Oh, hold on, let me get my inkwell," and he'd draw his little square and put his name in it.
Actually, now I'm not sure if you watched that documentary or did I read it somewhere. They never handed the stories in to the editor. They took them to Bob, and Bob took them to the editor. They delivered everything to Bob, and Bob then took it to the editor from there. And then he paid them.
Bob sounds like he was nothing but an A1 nut boy.
Yeah, I actually read that somewhere, or saw it somewhere. Yeah, that
Yeah,
they took everything to Bob,
I think I remember
and
that
he took
too.
them to DC. Yeah, he took the crap to DC. That's how DC never knew anybody. The other stuff, was involved in it. I mean, and if you look at old Bob, or even in '89, and I don't have a copy of it. I've seen it. When the movie came out in '89, Bob Kane did this huge, like 80-year old, not 80-year, but 70-year, whatever it was, retrospective picture for Batman or something. And he drew it and painted it, and you could get this big glossy print, and it was like $200 or $300.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember
it had
that.
the Batmobile. Yeah, okay, and he had the classic Batman swinging down and everything. And he signed it, and supposedly he drew it, but knowing Bob, there's a good chance he didn't draw it. But he signed it and numbered it, and it was stupid expensive to get. All right, so for some reason, now maybe back in the day they did. I sure as hell didn't know this, but according to this Batman story here, the railroad actually has policemen. There's a police force that just works on the railroad. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. So the unsung hero of the nation's law enforcement agencies is the railroad policeman. He quietly and efficiently patrols the vast network of steel rails, guarding its cargo and passengers. And Batman and Robin join forces to meet him. And at the bottom of the page, we kind of get an introduction. Batman and Robin have been out doing their crime stuff, and he decides, hey, it's take Robin to work today, and we want him to meet the people that work as the police officers on the railroad. So they go, and they're like, okay. So they show up, and then Batman and Robin are being led around the railroad and introduced to all these people. And halfway through they get there shortly. They say that hey, when the train stops to get water, like hobos and stuff get on, so we got to make sure hobos don't get on. And as these hobos are getting on, Batman recognizes them as actually they're thugs. They're a member of another gang. They're Deckard's men is what he says they are. So when Batman discovers that, him, Robin, and the actual police guy that's on the train all start beating the hell out of them and throw them off the train. And of course, while they're going through the train, they find this little kid who's running away from home.
Bless you.
And yeah, Gesundheit. So this kid is running away from home because he got a bad report card. But what's nice is the train guy, the police officer says, hey, you can't run away from your problems. Just study harder, and there's no place nicer to be than home. Ain't that the truth? So you need to go home, son. So he leaves, and Batman and Robin are like, cool. Set another youngin back home. He's safe. And then afterwards, they all get back on the train. Now that it's filled up with water again, it's heading out, and they're walking around. And as they're walking through the train cars, they're greeting people, and the guy's awful sure of himself. And then when they get there, there's a guy collecting tickets right down here.
The
And
conductor.
they ask, yeah, the is conductor or train guy? Hold on, what does it say? Yeah, it's the conductor. So he asks what time it is, and the guy says, hey, it's 10 minutes after 2, ma'am. And when Batman hears that, he starts screaming at Robin. He says, it's got to be one of Decker's men, Robin. He's a fake. So they start chasing him, and obviously we know now that he is a fake conductor because he runs away from Batman and then manages to climb up on the train, and there's a huge shootout up here. So Batman and Robin are trying to chase this conductor down who's just shooting at them, and then all of a sudden there's the tunnel. The train, of course, is going to go into a tunnel, and Batman like dives for him, and it's who will it be when the train comes out? Love that.
Well,
So
we all
you
know
can't
who
do
it's going to
stuff.
be.
Well, yeah, but hey, look, you just have to deal with it. It's a golden age comic. They would never do something this kind of silly in a new book. And when the train comes out the other side, of course, the guy has knocked himself out, and he seems to be okay, but you know, he's like he should have never known, that Batman would be accustomed to being in the dark. And Robin asked him, well, how did you know he wasn't the conductor? And Batman says, because conductor always uses a pocket watch, never a wristwatch, and he always, puts the minutes after the hour. A real conductor would have said it's 2:10, not 10 to whatever it was, 10 after 2. So that's how Batman knew it. Well, they get back to talking and everything else, and there's like a crack in the train tracks up ahead, and a circus train has managed to break off the tracks, and it's like crashed. So it's let a lion out, and there's a lion now running around in the woods outside Gotham somewhere, gonna eat people. And it's gonna eat this lady who's putting out her laundry right here. So Batman and Robin have to leave the train to go and save this lady who's putting out her damn laundry because this lion's gonna eat her. And yeah, that's in this book. The pow bam zing. Yeah, it's here. So, but the lion's tail is sticking straight up. So Batman's like, hey, look, he's going to do that. So he grabs this lady's laundry, and he's like using it as a bull cage to get the lion to attack him. And when the lion makes a dive for him, of course, Batman and Robin both jump out of the way. This is an ugly ass lion, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to say I don't know how many times they've seen lions, but they managed to hog tie this lion to a tree. And of course, they see the train track is busted, and now they're like, oh God. So Decker's men are still on the train, and we've got to get up there and save them, but there's no way we can catch up to them. So Batman and Robin talk to the guy that owns the circus cart, and he's like, oh, but we have a Roman chariot and some horses. You can use this chariot and horses to chase the train down. Well, you can't hold your head like that, man.
I'm shaking my head like this, but I'm thinking, if that chariot came with a wheelchair ramp, I would so take that and go for rides every day.
I mean, this is a golden age book. When you
I wouldn't be
crap
poopa
like
scooping,
this.
but
Yeah. So Batman and Robin hop on this damn chariot with a white and black horse, and they head off after the train. Which when they finally get to it, they find an abandoned car because or they get to the train and they find out that Decker's men knocked some people out, and he stole some money, got somebody hostage, and the police officer that's been helping them and kind of like doing the whole show you around today thing, man, says he manages to shoot one of the tires out on the car, so you'll all be able to find them. So the police officer, Batman and Robin, track down the car, and they're like, Decker can't be far from here. So, well, they get there, of course, they're shooting at them from a distance. And then, here comes the train. And the guys are like, when the train gets here, we're going to rob it. So the train pulls up, and then I don't know if it's this way on a real train or not. I'm going to say it's not. But the front of it, the coal smoke box opens up, and Batman and Robin jump out, and they're going to take out the Decker and all the bad guys, but they've still got a hostage. So we're going to let them. We're going to let you go. We're going to be nice. So the police officer who's helping them, still on the outside there, is like, watching them as they come out, and they can't come out. So the guy's like, hey, I'm gonna whistle to him and let him know that we're going on. So he does this tweet tweet, and when he does, Batman does that. All of a sudden, the police officer shows up at the other side of the the little station and has a shootout with the Decker and his gang, and he saves the day. And Robin asked, of course, this is the thing. They explained. So how did you know? And the trained police officer says, Batman whistled one medium whistle and 3 short whistles in railroad code. That's the locomotive signal for flagmen protect the rear of the train. So that's how he knew to come in the back, and that they were all at the front of the building, and was able to save the day.
And then Robin gets a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop.
Yep. I wonder if Robin has a freaking a little hula hoop there. And this is before the owl. I love the owl commercial. Was it how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that turned into a very lurid, dirty joke over the years.
Yes, it did. The world may never know. All right, so that was 8 pages too. And our last story, which is obviously the cover story of this issue, which now here's the thing. I let me bring it up right here. I figured this would been a Bill Finger story. This is actually not Bill Finger. This story was written by Dave Wood, who I don't know who he is. Maldoff is the actual penciler here, and it says inker. So I'm guessing it's Charles Paris again. I guess Paris pulled double duty here. He was the inker and the letterer, which usually when they didn't, the inker would have to do the lettering as well. So, but yeah, this is Dave Wood. This is not a Bill Finger story. Which kind of shocked me because, like I said, I figured this would definitely, Finger did so many of the big heroes. And as we said in the beginning, we know him as Mr. Freeze now, but this is the ice crimes of Mr. Zero. And the story opens, and he's got Batman and Robin like frozen in these little ice blocks. And Batman at least has a tube that's giving him some air to breathe that goes almost to his head. Robin's ass is going to suffocate in about 10 minutes because that tube don't reach nowhere near his head. Nope.
Not a chance.
Nothing's going to stop our ingenious ice crimes. If a science experiment went bad, I just don't know if I was doing a science experiment, it went bad, if I would just turn to a life of crime automatically. Seemed like I would try and go get some help first.
I don't know.
I mean, nothing. I mean, and hey, look, not only is this bad, but Mr. Zero goes around and does all of his ice crimes in a damn ice cream truck. So when the ice cream man is coming down the road, you could like run out there to get a damn Choco Taco, and he could, jump the hell out of the back and beat you up. Like, give me your ice cream money, buddy. You never know. So the ice cream, do what? So the ice cream truck pulls up, and of course Mr. Zero jumps out, and they're at a bank, or not a jewelry. They're at a jewelry exchange, not a bank. They go in there to the vault, and he shoots it with a heat gun first, and heats the walls up, and then he shoots it with his quick freeze ice gas, and it causes the vault to crack open. And of course, they steal all the ice, the diamonds and jewelry, because that's what it's called. And they run back to the ice cream truck. And when they get into the ice cream truck, they see the bat signal in the distance. So there's the bat signal, and then here come Batman and Robin arriving a little late, but that's because they're wearing roller skates that have little jetpacks on them. And they're not even doing the Batmobile. Yeah. I mean, what happened to the Batmobile? Did it run out of gas? So they roller skate after these guys as they run away. And of course, they try and track them down. Batman has his crime fighter utility belt. He pulls out his like lassos the vehicle, and they're being pulled behind them now. But Mr. Zero opens the door and he's like, "There's Batman. They're not going to get us," and he freezes the floor or freezes the ground. And of course, they can't stand up now on the roller skates, and they fall down and bust their tail. But Batman at least managed to use his lasso to pull one of the guys out. So he's like, "Hey, now I'm going to find out what's going on." But the guy doesn't actually, rat out Mr. Zero. He's like, "Hey, he put me on ice if I ever talk." So Batman takes him to jail. And then outside of Gotham City, there's a remote mountain where Mr. Freeze or Mr. Zero has all these air conditioners going at, sub-zero temperatures. And at least he does have a chair that I guess it's got a steam pipe in it here to keep his chair hot because it looks like it's steaming. So his dudes they don't actually freeze to death. They can sit on this chair while he's talking to them. And see, it's like all steamy and hot there. So he tells them,
it's the first time there were heated seats anyway.
Yes, it's the golden age heated seats. You thought the heated seats in your car were good. These are better. So now we find out his origin. So Mr. Zero was working on a freezing solution, and he dropped it. And when he drops it, it breaks. And then when it breaks, it gets all over him. And all of a sudden, he can't breathe because he can't get his breath in the heat. And he feels like he's burning up. So he rushes to the cold storage, and there he can breathe. And they're like, "Okay, so you become a human icicle. What are you going to do?" He's like, "I'm going to become Mr. Zero here," and he's created a refrigerated suit that'll help him survive in the hot air. So, he's going to continue his freezing crimes all over Gotham after he's now explained his origin. So the next night, outside of an exclusive Gotham City hotel, all these people are, delivering, frozen refrigerated food and such. And there's this giant icicle chandelier in there. And, of course, there's a chick in there. And on the outside, while they're inside, Mr. Freeze or Mr. Zero is freezing the wall, and he breaks it. When he breaks it, he rushes in. And Batman and Robin show up, and they get into this huge, huge fight. And they've even got a little chute that lets them lead down the building to get away. And they escape Batman and Robin again. And Robin even says, "Hey, with that ice gun, there's a million ways he can defeat us." But now Batman and Robin have these cool gyrocopters, dude. These are cool. So they have these cool gyrocopters, and they chase after them.
Yeah, the whirly bats.
Yeah, the whirly. Is that what they were called?
That's what they called them, like in the 70s. They used to hop on the whirly bats.
Yeah, I was like, man, these are kind of cool. I could see Batman using these. They'd be a little bit more stylish today, but these are kind of cool. They're a hell of a lot better than those damn rocket skates. So they head off after Mr. Zero, who, of course, the police are chasing him, and he just freezes the hell out of their car. And see, he even freezes the engine; it sputters out there. See, it says sputter, sputter, sputter. It sputters out, and they chase them down. And as they come, they finally get toward like his mountain lair when Mr. Zero freezes the whirly bats, and that's how he manages to capture them. And when he captures them, he then freezes them in that block of ice. And so now they're frozen in there, and he's like, "Hey, I can keep them here alive, for as long as I want, and they'll always be my guests, and they can do nothing to me. We're not going to talk about them like dying of hypothermia or anything else out. They're just frozen in a block of ice." And Robin's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? We're all there. But Batman somehow, even though he's frozen in this giant block of ice, manages to start rocking. And then he rocks over. And when he rocks over, he hits the steam pipe that's going to the chair so that the guys can have a hot chair to actually sit in.
Mm-hmm.
So steam goes everywhere and the ice breaks. And Batman and Robin jump out of the ice and they run over there and they, give Mr. Zero a cold cock. And they knock him out. But he's like, oh no, I'm gonna die. I got to get back into my ice chamber. But then he realizes, I can breathe in normal air again. All of the steam cured me. He says, I'm back to normal. But then Batman says, well, too bad. The steam treatment changed you back to normal. Now we'll see if the law can straighten out your distorted mind. I'm taking you to jail. Like we were talking about in the pre-show, this is the second Golden Age character we've read in like 2 months that at the end of the story, they are cured or either dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they come back later. How does he return to being Mr. Freeze? I guess we'd have to read the second appearance later. I'd have to look it up. I don't even know what issue that is. But I was like, dude, I don't know. But I guess he proved popular enough that people wanted to see him again. Nothing about this Tootsie Roll ad here, this Tootsie Roll fudge bar.
No, I'm pretty sure I don't want a Tootsie Fudge bar. That's usually what I make on my own after I eat a Tootsie Roll.
After you make a Tootsie Roll, you're only to own Tootsie Fudge.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this was just a common occurrence back in in the Golden Age books.
I think it was because they wanted, they wanted an actual ending to the story, not we're just going to put them in jail and they're going to escape and come right back. That didn't happen, I think, till like a little later on.
I guess. I mean, but we actually talked about it. I mean, so you said the Joker died after his first appearance, right? At the end of his first appearance, right?
Yeah.
We'll have to look that up. So, I mean, there's 3 of them we could think there. Because, like I said, Parasite blew up. Mr. Freeze is cured. Joker died.
Joker never dies.
Yeah, well, he did in his first appearance, and then he came back.
He did in the 89 movie, too.
Yeah, he did in the 89 movie, that horrible animation with Jack Nicholson falling from the...
And he still came back.
Thing. Oh, and he's 84. Jack is 84, by the way. I mean, for a Golden Age book, this is a really good read for me. I know it's a highly coveted book. I actually sent you a link to that Go Collect page. I don't know if you looked it up, but
no.
Completely destroyed. This book is almost $1,000. It's got some stupid, crazy low print.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, because the majority of them, when you look down at the very bottom, there's that big purple line for all the morons that went and restored their books. As soon as you restore the book, it's you might get a better. Sometimes you might get a better grade if it's restored, but they're also going to know it's restored, and they're going to put restored on the, in the label, and it's not, it might look better than like a 4.0, but the 4.0 will be worth more because it's not restored.
Oh yeah, and that's the case. But I mean, even that, like I said, and this is the only scan I could find of it, which is not a terrible scan at all, by no means. This is a good, this is a, low to mid grade book probably here. But whoever scanned this, the fact that, they probably scanned it years and years ago. But yeah, this is $1,000 comic book. Today, this book would never be scanned. It'd be slabbed and somebody would have it locked away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a crazy book. Just highly, highly sought after. Where's that? See if I can find that link I sent you and tell you what the.
Yeah, it was a good book. I mean, I have the Mr. Zero, Mr. Freeze thing. It was
Really?
one of well, I don't have it, but well, I have it and I don't. It's like cheaper than newspaper print.
Yeah.
Like uber cheap. It was like giveaway from Toys R Us. They had they had a few of them, a few of the Batman a few Batman stories that were like, you know, Golden Age keys, I guess. And at the same time, Toys R Us was giving those away. Pizza Hut was giving away the same type of format, but for Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, I have some of the Pizza Hut ones, like you're talking about, the Pizza Hut giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones I have are Superman.
Nope, I got Spider-Man.
Early Superman. Yeah, you got Spider-Man ones. I don't have any Spider-Man ones. I've got the Superman ones. But you know, for a Golden Age book, like I said, this read really well. There were some cheesy things in it. The art is just absolutely classic. Especially if you like this kind of, you know, Batman and Robin, and you could tell this is just for kids. This wasn't written, you know, with, you know, modern readers in mind, you know, or more even adult readers. I mean, you know, you just have to dispel so much and just roll with it. But you know, this was a great little fun read. And I don't think there was a real weak story amongst the three. Like I said, that Action Comics we read with the Parasite, you know, the Parasite story was so good, and that Supergirl story was just god awful.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stand it. I did look forward after this. I always look the next, you know, issue or two after this. 122, the issue right after this, is the one with like Batman and Batwoman that get married on the cover, and Robin's crying on the side, and it's like, oh God, now that Batman's marrying Batwoman, you know, what's that leave for me? I'm like, which that's a famous book. So there was a lot. That was from '59 as well.
That Batwoman actually died in the Batman Family series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's the whole thing too. We talk about the whole Earth 2 and Earth, you know, Earth Prime and Earth 2 and Earth 1 and all this stuff. Where is it Earth 2 where Batman and Catwoman get together, and that's where they actually have a child, and it's the Huntress, which is this Batman, and the '70s Batman is really our modern Batman.
Yeah,
you know, that kind of stuff. The thing that's funny is it's a good story. I like it. You could tell it's dated. The Paul Dini revamp for the cartoon on the character of Mr. Freeze. What is it? Heart of Ice? Is that it?
Yeah.
Where it talks about his wife and he freezes her and he's trying to cure her. Yeah, that is an incredible story. But Paul Dini is an absolute incredible writer. I mean, it's just insane, some of the stuff he's done. And I don't know if that was something he created just for the TV show, or if that was ever had any kind of roots in the comic.
Yeah, it eventually did, because during the Forever Evil story there from last year.
Okay. So
Lex
recently they brought it in.
Lex gave Victor these chemicals and a formula basically to cure her, but she came out and turns out she was an evil cunt.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn,
And
I
she
missed
came
that
out
one.
and she eventually gained the freeze powers and didn't need a gun. So basically,
Oh, so she's kind of like Killer Frost.
they turned her into another Killer Frost, but she was like
Yeah, so
uber powerful.
I've been watching all of the. I think I told you this before. The Superman on HBO Max, and because we were talking about doing an animation episode one time, and it's William disappeared on us. He's having technical difficulties. But the animation on the Superman animated series, Batman animated series by Paul Dini and such was so good, and it pulls off all of these classic characters. And like I said, we talked about too. Goes back to the Fleischer Studios. They're just so good. Let's see, made it back.
Made it back. Kicked myself out.
That figures. But yeah, we got to really do an animation episode one time. Now I did send you a link to something, and I normally know we normally swap weeks, and I picked this week. Okay, he's like disappearing and stuff, so I don't know what's going on. Hold on.
Something's going wonky.
Man, you're having
well,
you're having all kind of technical
the
issues.
strip came up on the left-hand side.
Uh-huh.
Like, and I've never seen it before.
Oh Lord. So I was saying.
Okay, I got it. Never mind.
What is it?
I turned on the vertical tab somehow by mistake. So I kept, instead of actually putting the cursor over to read what each thing was on the side, I just kept pushing buttons, which kept kicking me out of the stream because I'm a genius.
Yeah, boys and girls, this is what happens when you get old enough that technology starts to have a problem with you. I was saying, so normally we swap weeks. I know I picked this one, but I sent you something earlier in the week. Do you want to do Phantom Lady next week?
Yeah, sure. I'm up for that. Not 700 pages.
Doesn't know. No. We're going to do one or two issues. I got to pick out which ones.
Okay. Because it's a specific creator on Phantom Lady that you're interested in.
Yes. It's Matt Baker. And I don't know. You know anything about Matt Baker?
That
looks like a no.
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, Matt Baker was a black man, colored man, who worked on comics in the late 40s through the middle 50s. And he's considered one of the grandfathers of kind of like cheesecake comics. They pull Phantom Lady up there on the Senate subcommittee. Yes, I get to be the cheesecake guy. I'm sorry, people just have to deal with this. Sometimes you like what you like. And there are people that go,
boobies.
How did Matt Baker do that good? And they're like, because he was a ladies' man. They're like, that's how he was that good. The art is absolutely incredible in that stuff. When you see the art, I'll actually throw some of the pages from this in here. I'll try and find some 40s Batman pages and Captain America pages to interweave in with the Phantom Lady comic. Mm-hmm. And you can see how much better the art is. It's incredible. He had to do all of the work under a pseudonym, so nobody would really know it was him. And, we get credited, we can find out what issues he did now. But he did romance comics. He did Phantom Lady. He was the one that redesigned Phantom Lady's costume into the nearly not there costume that it is. That landed on the subcommittee hearing room floor. But, Matt Baker's absolutely incredible. He's like the guy that did Crazy Cat. And I can't remember his name now, but just people don't put enough stock in them. So I'll get that over to you. he redesigned the character in issue 13, and it run from 13 to pretty much the end. Was all him. 17 is the super famous late where she's got her hands behind her back and she's got the headlights are on full high beams. That's the one that was on the that was the one that was at the Senate subcommittee hearing that they're like, this is destroying our children. But
no, it's not.
Just Matt Baker is incredible. No, you have no idea. Yeah,
it's making young boys hang out at the ice cream department during the summertime for sure, though.
Yeah. All right. I told you I had a couple books I did get for a mail call that I don't know if you had ever heard of them, because I hadn't heard of them until recently. This one I actually had heard of, but I didn't know who was in it. So this is Omega the Unknown. Okay. Issue 9. First appearance of Fool Killer number 2 by Steve Gerber. I'm like, okay. I love Fool Killer.
First appearance of the second Fool Killer?
Yes, there are 3 Fool Killers. There are 3. Because the first one dies, second one dies, of course, and now there's a third Fool Killer. The second one is the Gerber Fool Killer miniseries that was done in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I remember actually,
that started out Comics Code approved. And by the 3rd episode, Marvel realized this is fast going into unapprovable material. And they just dropped the Comics Code Authority approval stamp off of it and finished publishing it. Like by the 3rd issue. And if you've never read it, it's incredible.
Oh yeah, I read that. I remember. I don't have it anymore, but I remember buying it. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude! I read it all in one sitting. It was so good. So I got that, which I paid next to nothing for it. I also paid next to nothing for these, and I had never heard of them. I hadn't even put them in bags and boards yet. The Weird, a DC miniseries.
Oh yeah, I bought that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you realize who the creators are for this, right?
I don't remember now.
Okay. All right. Well, you don't remember now. The writer and story creator for this is Jim Starlin. Okay. Super famous. So, I mean, we're talking Starlin. And all the pencil work is Bernie Wrightston. So this whole 4-issue miniseries is a Jim Starlin, Bernie Wrightston production.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it for like $4. I'm like,
yep.
What the hell?
It is weird as bleep.
Really?
Fuck.
I mean, yeah. You can't. You've actually talked about wanting to do the trade, and we haven't done a trade in a little while. I want to do Luther eventually sometime. We got to get to Luther. And you talked about doing Batman the Cult, which has been a long time since I've read the Cult, is by Starlin and Wrightston. I mean, and it's an absolutely incredible Batman story. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, there's nothing you can't really go wrong. And then I found this because, I'm a big Superman guy anyway. Superman, The Secret Years.
Oh, yeah.
By Bob Rozakis and Kurt Swan. So, and we were just talking about Kurt Swan. This is from 1984. I mean, just look at that. So this is 1984, and Kurt Swan's still working. The book that we just did, Batman 121, had his cover work from 1959.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so yeah, I didn't know if you had ever seen those. The Weird, I stumbled across. I'd never heard of it, and I bought it solely because of Starlin and Wrightston. Wrightston's absolutely incredible, and Starlin is not far behind.
Well, I bought it because Batman was in it, and it was basically like all encompassing, DC miniseries.
Yeah.
And I saw they were running in-house ads for that series for like almost 6 months.
Really. But you've read it already, so I'm gonna read it. Yeah, I
I've
may
read
read
it, but
tomorrow.
it's been so long. I don't,
It's yeah, but we just there's certain creators, and I've talked to my brother about this and talked to other people that it really almost doesn't matter whatever they buy. You give it a try. Even what is it, Miss Mystic from Comico by Neil Adams? That's not bad. The art's actually really good in that. The
well,
story's
it's
okay.
Neil.
Huh?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
it's Neil.
Neil.
It's Neil in the early 80s when he could still be the man. I mean, because he still does pretty good now, but his art is so dated now.
His art is dated now.
Yes.
I would still like to have a Neil piece, but the older he gets, the more he charges.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. I mean, all of his art has that same look to it now that it does. I mean, and it's incredible, but as to see, to put it up against a modern Batman piece, it's different. I think, like I said, I've had this discussion with a couple other guys in the group. I think really, man, he was dude in the 70s. He was so good. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he does. I have an autograph.
When he started, he was so far ahead of his time, but now he's so far behind his time.
Yeah, and that's because he got out of the business.
Yeah.
And
he just stayed classic Neil. That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Steranko. Steranko's art today is still good, but it's not Steranko from the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I will dig up a couple issues of Phantom Lady, probably just one, maybe two, depending on how long they are. I have to look and get them over to you. But like I said, it will be Matt Baker.
Okay, cool.
And I have to, like I said, I have to dig through them because most of the stuff I found was all, pseudonyms because that's the way he had to work back in the day.
Mm-hmm. But that sounds like a plan. So next Thursday, right back here, same Boomer time, same Boomer channel.
Yep.
Channels.
Channels. All right.
Alrighty. So, and I surpassed 100 subscribers on my YouTube. Woohoo!
100. We're getting there slowly but surely.
So slow.
Well, I mean,
so slow.
If you put a pole up and dance from it, you maybe get a little farther.
No.
Man breaks his neck.
Actually, I have a pole behind me.
A man breaks his neck while trying to get YouTube subscribers.
I tried to con a couple of the dancers from one of the clubs I used to work at. I go, you should come over and visit me. I got a pole in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, you put up a dance pole? I go, no, it's one of the concrete poles. It holds the ceiling up.
It holds the ceiling up. All of a sudden,
she goes, oh, that pole's too thick for me to work on.
Really?
And I'm just like, well, that ends that conversation. She's like, what? Because I can't dance on that. I go, well, if that one's too thick, I go, mine certainly is.
Oh, Lord.
Good Lord. Pops!
Pops finally made it. Hey, man. Yeah, now we're being really weird talking about old comics and trying to figure out some way to get
it's because you brought up that series, The Weird.
The Weird?
The Weird.
It's like the series in South Georgia right now, The Pollen.
Which goes along with the other Georgia series, No All-Star Game.
Yeah, no All-Star Game and plenty of pollen. I went outside the other day, being the fact that I live a mile down a dirt road in the middle of a pine forest, and my car was yellow.
What color is it supposed to be?
Not yellow. All right. So I'll get that over to you, and then we'll be back next week. And then we'll go from there, man.
Sounds like a plan. All right, everybody. Peace, love, and read some comics, would you?